I can't get used to that, That whole meeting is being recorded. I just feel like I don't know. It's weird in a way. Anyway, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
Wow, I am well. I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
How's your week been? Or the start of your week, as it's only Monday.
It's been good. It looks like the sun is finally coming out. Fingers crossed it will stay out.
That's the thing I was about to say. I was like, is it here to stay? Let's just have a look at the weather. Oh, that's nice. We got 27 on the week next week Monday.
Uh-huh.
Long mates. They're so well in the 20s. That's nice.
That's do you know what? It's so funny. When I first moved to the UK, right? I always used to think these people are so strange. The way they talk about the weather.
Nice. It's because we don't get much of weather. Of good weather. We get awful weather. It's raining, it's cloudy, it's cold. I mean, I find that like I don't mind it when it's cold because you can wrap up warm. But when it's raining, it's just so miserable. Yes, that sometimes there's that rain. And it's very, it's too light to carry an umbrella, but then you get wet because you're not carrying an umbrella. Do you know what I mean? Like I hate that. I hate being soaked by the rain. It's just awful. I'd rather be soaked by other things. But
Golly.
like if you're in a pool, I'd rather get wet because somebody's just jumped in on holiday by the beach.
Michelle.
Or somebody
Sure.
holding a drink. What?
Okay. Every chance. Any chance.
Any opportunity.
Any opportunity. Hey.
Guys.
Anyway,
Welcome.
welcome to Girls Guys podcast with me, Natasha.
And Xolie.
I sometimes go by Nat.
Let's go by Michelle.
Yes, Michelle. Wagwan.
Do you remember the times when we used to religiously go to the studio to record?
I dream of those days every day, as you know.
I know. It's just, but this is so much, like, look at us, we're so comfortable in our own homes, recording virtually, not in its, it's got its benefits as well, I suppose.
No, oh, definitely. I think that's the good thing about the pandemic
Mm,
because we had to improvise.
mm,
Um, so I guess it'll be a hybrid way of recording the podcast. But
absolutely.
what we need to do is we
Yeah.
just need to get to a point where we have enough funds that we're all decked out. We have the right microphones, sound, what's it called? Sound bar.
Yeah. Yeah. Sound by. That's what sound by. What's in the sound bar for?
I think it's the thing that, to help equalize sound and that
Right.
thing that is there in the studio that
Oh, like, okay, that thing that you press.
yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's called
that's
a
the
sound bar.
dream.
I could be wrong.
That's the dream, isn't it? It would be nice. You're right. It would be nice to have fully kitted so that our sound does not. People need to be able to be like, oh my goodness, are they in the studio or are they home?
Yeah.
That is the ultimate dream. I think right now we're just using Zoom and our computer speakers, so it's not quite the same. So yeah, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, no, we'll get there. But I'm now used to it because I always used to be like, oh my God, like I hate the Zoom sound so
I
much.
remember. It's just so weird to get used to as well. It's just like it just sounds so. And then you listen to studio quality, and the fact that you can tell such a huge difference, and it's not like it's a massive difference as well. But yeah, no, guys, we will work on it. We will get there eventually. Bear
No,
with us.
we will. And hopefully, like, I found a little trick, like how you can filter pictures. There's a way you can,
Filter sound.
yeah,
Get out, really?
try and make it crisp. Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds good. Anywho, so
Mhm.
politics, what's happening?
Oh, okay. Politics. So just quickly from me, just two things. So, Nigeria banned Twitter.
Mad thing. Mad thing. Like seriously.
Can you imagine?
I'm not VPN.
Yeah, like what the heck? Yeah.
So tell us how did that happen?
So the President Buhari tweeted something, right, where he was essentially, I guess I can say the language was threatening, and saying that certain people, we will deal with them in the language that you know they only understand, something like that, right? It was very kind of, yeah, like threatening to use violence against groups of people.
Mm,
So Twitter deleted that tweet
mm,
because I'm assuming that it had been reported for a harmful language or whatever the case may be. So it looks like off the back of that, then there's this whole there's this whole thing where eventually they've said that Twitter is being banned from Nigeria. There were ministers. I saw the first lady of Nigeria saying that she is deactivating her account, but then people pointed out that she's in Dubai. She's not even in
not even
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yeah,
She's not even physically in Nigeria.
yeah, and I mean, so even President Buhari, some people call him, the travel blogger, because
Yeah.
he's always in London getting, medical care. But it just really makes you think that um, for a country to say that they're banning Twitter, which at this point is an information source, is a way to connect with the rest of the world, is just very, very bizarre. It kind of reminds me of a few years back when in Zimbabwe they what do they do? They disabled the internet or
Oh
something
yeah.
like that. Where the government say that network providers had to sort of disable access to social media.
Mm,
So all these things, I think there's just one common thing.
mm,
It really shows that some of our countries are led by, and I'm not being, I don't mean to be ageist, because it just because someone is older doesn't mean they don't have innovative thinking. But honestly, like, we're led by old clueless men,
mm.
and you can't just wake up and say, oh, I'm banning Twitter or close social media just because you want to.
Yeah. Just because you've
Yeah,
had a negative experience and because you have put something out there and have been called out on it as well. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And also, like, where are people's human rights? Because you're thinking, okay, if you're banning, that's you're taking away somebody's freedom of speech, because of your one particular incident. It's very unfair. And I think that, you're right that um, there's something about older people in politics who have this one way, a didactic way of thinking and um, of thinking and speaking, that if I don't have it my way, then nobody can have it at all, and it's very unfair.
extremely unfair. And I think it also goes to the whole I think the whole conflation sometimes of culture
Mm,
is politics, because a lot of African culture, um one of the hallmarks is respecting elders,
mm,
and that's something that we do. But I think what happens in some countries is that then transcends into the political space,
mm,
where because someone is an elderly person, essentially. In our culture, we I'm forgetting there's a Ndebele saying, but like an old person is never wrong. You never challenge them, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's, listen, if you want to observe that in culture, that is fine.
Mm.
But politics is different, because politics, if you are democratically elected, you are a servant of the people,
People. Yeah. I
right?
agree with that. Yeah.
But then I think that's where we kind of go, even for what reason was President Mugabe a president at 90 something?
Guys.
Ridiculous,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But it's the whole like respect, or the elder, respect. We need to get that out of policy. And it's not even just politics. You'll see it at different levels, where just because someone is a certain age, you have to respect them in the workplace, you have to
Mm.
respect them. Look at CEOs. If
Mm.
you look at CEOs in a lot of African countries, they are, again, old old
Yeah.
men.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
so you're telling me that there isn't a 40, 50 something young dynamic
And
woman that
actually,
can lead?
yeah, basically. I think, there's something about that whole paternalistic way of thinking. Uti, this man has probably, and he's probably felt, how can somebody come against me? There's that, which I am a man, you know, and that losing respect amongst your and it's a tweet, guys. It's a tweet. Whatever he was saying in that, if it was deemed, or if it's been seen to be threatening or abusive language, then he, like everybody else on the Twitter platform, should go to Twitter court and have that tweet deleted. But for him to now actually then turn around and use that one particular incident as a show and tell, what I am the man, and I'm the man leading this country. Nobody else can get it. It's freaking bizarre. It's wrong, you know.
And what was even funnier was that the Nigerian government announced that Twitter was being suspended in Nigeria on, you guessed it, Twitter.
On
What a joke.
You can't make these things up, guys.
What a joke. Like,
So wait, so do you think that this is going to be like, how can he get away with this?
to be honest, I don't know. I haven't really followed up to see what the infrastructure is like. I mean, because I'm assuming you have to then instruct network providers,
Mm, mm,
and then it depends if there's a law that enables that, and then
mm.
maybe they have to do that.
Right.
But if they are defiant, then But I saw something about, if people are using Twitter, like they'll be arrested or whatever. But again, how can you
How
stop?
do you police that?
Yeah,
Mm.
but then it then affects people who are highly visible in
On
Nigeria.
Yeah.
um so yeah. Gosh. But yeah, so that's the only thing for me on the politics front.
All right. Um, is that it?
Yeah, that is it.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So anyway, last week, our previous episode, 8701. And for those who don't know, 8701 was one of Raymond's albums, like his very first albums. I think that was his second album after Asha. So rightfully so, the episode was titled 801 because Nat and I had a bit of a discussion on, actually, no, she was like, oh, Justin Timberlake. She was reminiscing about JT, Justin Timberlake, uh, his music, his choreography, and all this stuff. And in the midst of that, some blasphemy was said, you know, um, and which has risen to an Asha Gate scandal. Because Natasha Fuyane actually said that the only person, actually, she didn't say the only person, but she said something along the lines of, somebody who would go against go against Justin Timberlake in a versus would be Asha. And you're still nodding your head in agreement to what you said. I'm quoting and unquoting you here, and here we are. But anyway, power to the people, because we live in a very democratic uh, environment where we listen to other people's opinions. We were like, okay, we'll put it out to the people. Like, who do you guys think? Like, if there was going to be a versus, do you feel that Justin Timberlake and Asha, is that a good versus? Is it? And because I'm a diehard Asha fan, I love Asha so much, I felt that, no, there isn't a way you can put Justin Timberlake and Asha on the same platform. Yes, they came out at the same time, but Asha's just he's a different kettle of fish. He's a performer, he's a singer, he's a serenader, he speaks to women, that song with Daddy's Home, he's just like drawing out women. With Justin Timberlake, I would say is he a performer? Not quite. Is he a serenader? A bit. Is he, does he speak to women? A bit. Again, so it's not quite there for me. And I felt it was just disgraceful that Natasha put him out there with Asha. I mean, I've heard people say Asha and Chris Brown, and I can almost go with that because I feel like, those two are very similar in the way that they are. They are ladies' men, Justin Timberlake doesn't quite do it for me. Anyway, so we asked the people, what do you guys think? Oh, you are here. Okay, thank you for unmuting yourself. What do you have to say for yourself before we read the people's comments?
Listen, let me not spoil your monologue. You're on a roll.
Go for it. What do you have to say? Do you stand by what you said?
Okay, you have to understand. I did not say that there's no scenario where Asha loses at all. I just said, who would put up a fight?
So wait, so it's you're happy to put up an unfair fight because Asha will win?
No, Asha will win against Chris Brown. Asha would win. Okay, who else other than Chris Brown?
Definitely not Justin Timberlake.
Okay, who else?
I honestly think that the best person would against Asha would be Chris Brown. I think they're both, because they're very, they've got a similar way of presenting music. They are. It's just the way they are. What Justin Timberlake is missing. I'm not taking his music down, but he's missing a lot of that je ne sais quoi that those guys have.
Fair. But again, may the record show, I did not say Asha would lose. I was even the one who played Bad Habits, and I was like, this is my jam. I love Asha so much. But okay.
We like that you stand to be corrected. We do.
But again, it's not even standing to be corrected because I did not say Asha would lose.
So Panache on Twitter was like, Asha, I'm a question marks. I can't even count the number of question marks. Raymond, the third, it's 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my drop top cruising down the street. That Asha? Is this who at Malaka Diva really wants to put JT up against? And Chieta was like, we need a clear retraction on the next episode and some respect put on Breezy's name. I agree, Chieta, and this is what we're getting at in the next few minutes.
Wait, I'm apologizing.
Yes! Say allegedly or say something that is just going to. Anyway, Chieta was so upset. She also then came into the DMs because she was like, I'm not letting this go. She says, Nat, put some respect on Chris Brown's name. He has hits. I think he's the closest who can compete with Asha compared to Justin. And then when Natasha tried to, then, Zanu PF the DMs in there. And she was like, yeah, no, you are right. I think I just got lost with the extra long albums. And I came in and I was like, yay. Nah, Chieta, you are right. This woman is just out here. She's wilding, but she tried it.
No, listen.
We'll give you a few minutes. Let me just mute my microphone.
What I don't understand, right? The energy that Chris Brown fans came with. I wasn't ready. All I am saying is, okay. Recollections may vary on the last episode. However, I am Team Asha. Full stop.
Can you? Oh no, but we need to also hear you say that you putting him against Justin Timberlake is
okay, fine.
Ridiculous.
I am ready to remove multi-Grammy award winning artist, multi-million album selling artist, multi-concert worldwide touring artist Justin Timberlake off the table, if that will make you guys happy.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And then we can
just explain that Asha, Chris Brown are just on a different league.
Asha is on a different league.
Okay, we'll take that. Thank you.
Chris Brown is on a league.
We won't dissect this one any further. We'll just take it that they're not all on the same table.
And then
yeah, no, what were you about to say?
No. Then Ungube Otunga on Instagram, he put on his stories. It's like, Galen Sky, suddenly I find myself witnessing criminal activities. Minanglalele Isho mentioning Justin Timberlake in the same sentence as the great black Asha is criminal. Don't do that. Asha is in Mars. JT Usemberengwa.
Facts only.
I hear you guys. I hear you.
Good. Ungaphindi futhi.
All right.
Nakuletha futhi khona apha ecourt.
But we should do a versus.
Yeah, we should. Like, who against who?
Clearly not Asha versus Justin Timberlake.
Because what's the point of that, really? But yeah, so guys, who would you like us to do a versus? That's like our own little mini thing, Girl Sky's edition, that we can put out maybe once we're back in the studio. The sound quality will be a little bit better.
We should do like Platform 1 versus Mafizol. Or like Platform 1 versus
like, you just get lost. Like, I don't understand, Platform 1 and Mafizolo njani?
Or Platform 1 and Dalom Kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Platform 1 and Dalom Kids.
Yeah.
This is so Natasha.
It's
anyway,
because I'm young.
Whatever. What an excuse, hey. Okay, so the next bit is, you brought this up. So do you want to just go on to it a bit?
Yes. So the internet did what the internet does. So, this section is called Stingy versus Setting Boundaries. Right. So someone brought this on the Twitter timeline, on the good Twitter timeline. A lady called Sam. So she put a screenshot. And the screenshot is of we were made to understand of a lady who texts someone it looks like she's talking to, and is like, there's load shedding up again and I'm so hungry. First text, then she double texts. So she said, wait,
Pause. Pause. Yazi, do you know the way I love food, right? When I first saw this, I was like, okay, where is she going? Because Yazi Indlala will make you think in a very weird way, man. Anyway, continue.
Do you know what? I didn't even realize the timings of this is very important. So
What?
at 11:57 a.m., she texts, there's load shedding up again and I'm so hungry. Cry emoji. 11:57 a.m. 4 minutes later, at 12:01 p.m., when the hunger was hungering, second text, can you please order something to eat for me, Mama? 12:01. And then at 12:12, so 11 minutes later.
So wait, there's no response.
She tries calling at 12:12. But can we remember that there's load shedding? So she's wasting her battery because what if her phone was on one bar? And then the response comes at 7:06 a.m.
I am dead.
Okay, how many hours is that?
Can't.
So 12, this is 12 noon when she texts saying, can you please order something to eat for me, Baba? 12:01. So let's just assume 12 noon. 12 noon to 12 to midnight, 12 hours, plus 7 hours. So a whole 19 hours later.
Yeah.
The response, first of all, is that acceptable for someone to text you after 19 hours?
No, definitely not. Like, I think that's just mad disrespectful. Like, he could have said whatever he wanted to say, but he could have said it a bit earlier, because then can find other options. When the hunger is hungering, as you are saying, like, allow that person to then go and do something, go and open the cupboards or do whatever you need to do, guys.
So in my books, guys, like, if I'm talking to you, I think 5 hours is fair. Like, for you to I'm assuming you're gainfully employed. Imagine if you're not even gainfully employed, you have to respond as soon as I text you.
Yeah, because a lot can happen in 12 hours. You can get married in that time. By the time you send it back that message, good morning, things have happened. So no.
And then the response, you know what? I wish there was a way we could edit this to put the that sound. Have you seen on TikTok when people be like, and then the dramatic sound is like, so why don't you do it then? So
yeah.
If there's a way that we can edit to put the sound underneath the text, we'll try, we'll see. But if not, no, this was in our hearts. The response. okay, before I got to response, just to refresh, the last text said, "Can you please order something to eat for me, Baba?" 12:01, and then a missed call at 12:12, and then the response 19 hours later. Good morning, smiley face.
I hate that smiley face, by the way. That one.
It's like this the way I make you a smile when they don't wanna. Good morning, smiley face. I hope you're good. I just wanted to apologize if I've given you the wrong impression of who I am and what I can offer in your life. I personally don't appreciate being asked for money or food, as I don't think we are at that stage of our relationship. I like you, you're cool, but I don't think we share the same views when it comes to relationships and advancements. I might be wrong, correct me if I am. With that being said, I'd still like to get to know more, to get to know you more probably, but please ease in with the asking for stuff. It's a major turn off, and T10 off capitalized.
So that's so when I sit in my head and I was reading this, right? So I looked at that. I looked at so before I look at even what has been written, I look at the grammar, not the grammar, the punctuation and little things like that. Because as when you're texting, I still think it's important to put that comma, to put the full stop. So this man has not. There's not even one full stop in this whole thing, right? He's put his grammars. There's one comma, but that's 10 off. So it's not like he doesn't know. He knows exactly what he's doing. That's 10 off with a capital T or a space or a capital O. That was intentional. He's like I'm put off by you right now. That was the message that you wanted to bring to the table. But I was like, oh my God. Then you listen to what this man is saying. I mean, first of all, the girl is the girl, like, I'm like, okay, guys, there's load shedding. Appa, I'm so Appa again, and I'm so hungry. Can you please order some? For me, personally, this is where I struggle, to be honest. I struggle asking for things like this from a man, because you then, when you get a response like this paragraph, like, you have to be ready for this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hate being I hate that, especially when you don't know where you are at this, what stage you are at your relationship. Inshallah, guys, hunger is a bad thing. Before you send text asking for food, you need to make sure that you have got, even if you can go outside, okay, eat peaches or something. If you've got that luxury, remember, we had a peach tree outside. You just go and have something to eat before you send such text. But I was like, oh my God. So this guy, he literally, I take my hat off to him. I'm not going to lie, because he made his intentions clear. And for me, that is the most important thing. If you can turn around and be like, listen, I'm not where you probably think I am. I don't feel like you should be asking me this, because it's putting me off. It's turning me off. Sorry, something happened on my computer. So I take my hat off to him for being very clear. Hands down, like, I take my hat off to him. But yeah, no, what do you think? What do you think about the whole saga?
So it goes without saying, we're making a lot of assumptions. We just saw one screenshot. We don't know how long they've been talking. It's clear that they are talking. That it's a talking stage, right? It's unclear how long they've been talking. But I think when I first saw that, because I saw a lot of people, I think it was quite split, right? A lot of people were like, oh my God, that whole paragraph, what for? Or this guy is stingy, you know. You could have just like a young KFC or McDonald's doesn't cost that much. And there were people saying, obviously, if someone likes you, they have to feed you. So here's my thing, right? um and this is where I always talk about, I always say this to you about Twitter standards versus real life, right? I do think that in the social media platforms where we interact, it's very much a, I do think we really, I don't know, like there's a standard of a man providing and giving and having means that's always kind of put out. Like, you cannot be a broke dude. You cannot, like that's, that all can never be me. Twitter would be like, oh heck no. Da, da, da. So, but I think sometimes that can be a bit dangerous in the sense that we then, I think it's an interesting world that we're living in, right? You know, because part of that is patriarchy yakhona, right? Um, and I feel like there's a bit of us that's like, we all agree that this whole sort of like men being put on a pedestal is wrong, but at the same time we understandably want the perks of it. So like a man, indoda gaive this, indoda must, and all that sort of stuff. So I think sometimes you have to be able to kind of discern where where it's appropriate and where it's not. Number one. So personally, when I saw this, I don't want to lie, like I am team dude, and I'm sorry I may get dragged, but my first thoughts were not to he's broke. I mean, I don't know. It could literally be that he doesn't have money, right? But when I read his response, he was like asking for money or food. So it sounds like she is probably not the first time she has asked, right? And for me, the qualifier is, especially if they've been talking for, say, less than 2 weeks or a week, right? I just think it, I feel it is inappropriate to ask, right? I just think that's why when you're growing up, you're told ukuthi like kumele ube lenhloni zokucela, right? But again, it also depends whether, guys, whether maybe he was like, oh, send me a pic, send me something. So maybe there's been some asking on his side, right? And then maybe that would be kind of fair. But I do think that I appreciated what he said, to be honest, to be like, this is a turn off for me. um and it's interesting, like I've spoken to guys who have said that, like sometimes you do meet people who literally within a week are like, oh, airtime, I need airtime, or I need this. Like literally, they're like, before you even like get to know them, before they even know your last name, they're just like, and I also wonder if there's a geographical thing around it, because I did see that. I think a lot of the people who were kind of like, oh, you know what, I respect the dude, like a lot of those people were based outside of Africa. A lot of people who were like, oh my God, were based in Africa. So I do think maybe there's a geographical culture which is kind of different, because you couldn't do that with a UK guy that you met within a week, right? You even if the dude has money, like that just wouldn't fly, and you could get, or they would even ghost you. But I did think I did see a difference in terms of, especially the women who were kind of like, nah, this is a bit too much, were based outside of home, of Africa, and the people who were very much like, indoor must, were based at home. So I that was an interesting observation. But men were very universal in saying, yeah, dude is fine, except for the men who, like to simp for the women.
We appreciate those men all the time. No, but I think it's interesting that you bring the geography of it all, and I also wonder if there's maybe like a generational thing as well. Like I don't know, because we are of the same age, um, that we probably have a similar view on things. Like, and I like you, like I said, I stand with the guy. I prefer somebody. If I ask something, I would prefer somebody to be very clear and say, yes, I can do this. No, do not expect me to do this, and leaves no gray areas. I like that. And also, I felt that asking for, saying this, because this is, and again, we're reading this at face value, right? So just reading the messages as they are, not really knowing what's going on, the background in terms of how long they've been together, etc., etc. But this girl saying that there's load shedding and there is no food. So that's two things, So she's asking for food now. So imagine you're the guy, then you send the food, and then my next message would be, we still have load shedding. Like, I've told you there's two problems here, you're only dealing with one. So if you're coming outright and saying, listen, I have no money, we're not at that stage we're not at the stage of, relationship where you can be comfortable in asking for food or for money. That's him stating his truth. And I'm all for that 100%. And it's also the way I see it, and again, you get dragged down by other women for even saying it out loud. But the way I see it is, you ask for this today, tomorrow is going to be something else. And you just get into that routine of just constantly asking. And there is nothing wrong with asking. I think if you're off that mindset where you have been comfortable with asking for money from dudes, then that's fine. Personally, for me, is something that I've struggled with, and which is why I will react in the way that I have reacted, because this is not what I'm used to.
No, I completely relate. Like I don't like asking, particularly men, for money, because there's no such thing as a free lunch. And honestly, probably in my life, maybe there's one or two people that I'll address to be like, oh, ngicela imali. Not that they would give me, I've tried. but it's because when you just reach that level of relationship, or just even friendship or comfortability, that you can ask. And also you're asking because it's been a, allow it. In some ways, there's some ways that you support that person. But yeah, I love money, but I find it, yeah, me, like I always say to you, like, oh, if a guy does something for me, I will always try and do something for them. Say, like, if someone, you know does something even for my birthday, and especially if, like, we don't have it, like, I will always be like, like, I'll do something for them, but because I don't want that thing of, I'm in receipt and then I kind of owe you something. I don't want that.
But and that being said, like, I know people who like women who will actually live off men. So I wonder as well, like, you know, there's also that side to think about. There's people who have their rent paid, bills paid, school fees paid, and they're working and whatever it is. But there's also the men who have that mindset, which, you know, as my woman must never lack. You know, we want more of those men. Men will not we 1,000.
Listen, we want no, and I agree with that. I think for me it's just the stage of the relationship. Later on, when you guys as when
Yes.
it's fine and there's a level of comfortability or whatever, absolutely.
You do your hair for a week and then you're like, please, I'm not liking it anymore. Give me money to get your
Yeah,
hair done. So yeah. But
exactly.
it also ties in quite nicely. So I think for our next few minutes, we wanted just to talk about, for the next few minutes, we wanted to talk about just buying property. So we're going to do this in two separate episodes. We're going to just have a general chit chat about the process. And I know Nat, you're looking at buying to let as well. So maybe you can just run us through that, like what you have read and what you have seen or experienced. And then maybe in part two, which will be in a maybe next episode or maybe the episode after that, we'll bring in the actual detail of of our experiences in buying to let and first time buyers in the diaspora in the UK kind of thing. So I think for this bit, I wonder if you could just why are you interested in buying to let like now? Are you getting older, Natasha?
Yes, I am getting older. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm hopefully in the future I would like to get into. So I've been looking at that. But I think it would be really good for us to talk about, almost like the steps for buying a property and the different options, because in the UK particularly, like property is like a lot of people's wealth is tied to property, right? And bizarrely as well, it's one of those things. I'm sure it's not just the UK. It is the fact that if you can own a property and perhaps have a mortgage, actually you'll find that your mortgage payments are much cheaper than the rental income. Unfortunately, that's just the way the system is kind of rigged. um and recently what I've been doing is I've got some friends that I've been friends with for a number of years. We used to work together. That is Asian girls, right? And if you guys know anything about like the Asian community, is a lot of them. So I enjoy interacting with them because every time I get a different, I learn different things because they are second generation. So, like, for example, like I've got a friend, Amina, like her parents are from Bangladesh, but she was born here, right? And Amina and I worked together when I think Amina was 18, I was 19. And at that age, she had a property that her parents had given her when she turned 18. Literally, parents gave her property, and I remember at the time, we're both working at a bank, whatever. And Amina used to have like a job weekends to sort of service the mortgage. And now, X amount of years later, like she's got properties, like she's big into property investing. So I've been kind of spending time with her, sort of like learning, going to one of the properties that she's refurbishing to literally just learn. And I've had conversation with you guys about, okay, so we know Wuti, like in the UK, yes, everyone's dream is to own their property, right? Get a mortgage, own your property, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. For the reasons that I mentioned at the top, that for the most part, like your mortgage payments are less than your rental. But for you to even get that mortgage, is is another job that we'll get into the part two. But also what I've been learning as well is that a lot of, as I said, a lot of wealth is tied to property that you live in, which is absolutely fine. But however, a lot of people, particularly in the UK, are making a lot of are getting a lot of a high return for their investment by, getting into, buying properties that they rent out. So all these people that we are landlords of, sorry, not we are landlords of, that we, hey, I receive it. I'm speaking into it, but that we are tenants of, and that we are paying money, you know, they are getting rental income, and then the value of the properties is going up. So for me, I'm kind of passionate because I just feel like I've spent most of this year sort of doing crash courses on all things property related, and I'm passionate about at some point just sharing the little that I know, because I think our community, even if it's just the people that listen to us, I think there's some things that may seem basic to us, may seem basic, to you, because you've purchased your property, but just like if we can go through, like, okay, how to, what do you need to do, how do you get your credit score high, what's the best way to save for a deposit, what are you looking out for a property, like are you looking for a freehold, are you looking for a leasehold, what are the downsides of either. um yeah, yeah, so I think it'll be a good discussion, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, I don't see any downsides of a freehold at all. I feel like if you can absolutely get a place with a freehold, that is the way to go, the way to go. But yeah, it would definitely be an interesting conversation, because there's obviously all these people who are like, oh, getting yourself into a mortgage is a trap, and all this yada yada. Is it an investment? Why don't you put your money into, like, I don't know, like invest it in other ways which will give you quick returns. But for even things like this, for me, the simplest thing was I paid more for my two bed flats in zone 2. I paid more in my rent than I pay in my mortgage now. In a 2 bed, it's a bigger space. I have access to like garden space, which I didn't have before. So things like that. I think for me that was a wise move, and I think it's important to obviously highlight that being a landlord, guys, being a landlord is also got its challenges. In that if you're obviously responsible for the breakdowns, you're responsible for the upkeep of your property. But there is that aspect to it. It's actually yours. So if you have a leak in your bathroom, it's up to you to actually be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to sort it out. Or it's up to you, like, oh, I'll wait till next month. Obviously that has got its repercussions as well. But I think the big thing for me was that, guys, rental income as well compared to mortgage is just mad. And I remember, when I moved out of my flat in Finsbury, that the guy, we had lived there for, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years. And the landlord was lovely, and he had kept the rent the same for the time that we were there. And then when I left, when I moved out, I was kept an eye just to see how much was actually being, how much is going to let the flat out for. Mm-hmm. And because I had tried, I said to him, oh, I really want to stay longer. And this is when Tamar had come over. I was like, I really want to stay longer, but could you just alter the rent a bit, because I'm only going to move out to try and get something within this price range. And he was like, no, Michelle, I can't, because right now I am just paying my mortgage. So whatever. So take, for instance, we're paying £1,000 a month. That was his mortgage being covered at £1,000. So he's like, I can't go any lower than that. I was like, okay, fair dues. Packed my bags and off I went. He rented that place for literally £600 more than that. Yeah. It was just like, so you could tell this as Mbambelela mover because, you know, obviously as a landlord, you want someone who's going to look after the place, which we were doing. You know, we were not having wild parties and stuff. So he was like, oh, I'll keep the rents the same. But the moment we stepped out, that price went up. Like that guy is sitting pretty wherever he is, you know, he is sitting pretty. And yeah, so I think it'll be quite good in the next episode or next future episodes. We'll just kind of go into detail. And maybe you'll have explored a little bit more on the buy to let, and I can share my experiences as a first time buyer.
Yeah. And if anyone sort of has any questions, just let us know. If we don't know, we won't answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you make a really, really good point about the rent and it going up. I mean, that's the thing about property in the UK. It just keeps going up. But again, it depends on the areas. So you need to be quite strategic. I mean, London, obviously, anywhere around the M25, it will just keep. You listen, the stories I could tell. Like when you look at properties, literally a good property comes and it's off the market the next day, and some people are purchasing properties without even seeing. Oh, and I wanted to say, like with the mortgage question, I know that some people are like, oh yeah, it could be a trap, and there's some truth to it, because do you know, like, mortgage actually means mortgage means gauging the rate of death. Like that's literally, yeah, that's what a mortgage is. And if you think about it, then what happens is most of us, you spend all your life chained to this job or whatever, because your mortgage is your biggest responsibility that you are paying on a monthly basis. So yeah, I think that different strategies for different people, but like you said, in your case, you still needed a home, right? And now you're paying less, but actually you're paying less and it's going towards your property. And if the property gains equity, gains value, you're getting a piece of that pie too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, it'll be a good conversation. So if you are also like out there, you've got properties, do share your experiences, and maybe we can read them out on the next episode.
yes. I think that will be very, very interesting. And then lastly, did you watch Blue Therapy, the finale?
I did. So I'm a bit torn on whether that is. Do you think it's like from the? Do you think it's real? Because I know we had that discussion with who, and he was like,
So I don't. Okay, so I think it is real but exaggerated.
okay.
Right. So I don't think Choma is lying about, what happened with the termination, because that's someone's name and everything. But I don't know so I actually bought the aftermath.
Or did you? I did.
No, you gotta support creatives. I mean, they've given us such great content. I was just like, what's £2.49? So I bought it and I watched part 1 and part 2. Chioma has a friend called Brittany Nande. That girl is from Bulawayo straight.
Okay.
Like her accent, everything. Like, yeah, I think so. Anyway, I went on her Instagram. She's got an SA flag. But I'm like, I think you're from Bulawayo. But yeah, no, it was interesting. And then Paul today came out and was like, so what happened is Chioma let it rip in the aftermath thing. She was like, oh, Paul was not a provider. She was going 60-40.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, tell it, sister.
Yeah, and she'll be interested in seeing how he'll be able to maintain rent. Like literally, oh my god,
Oh man, with
air,
his £1,000.
airing business. And then Paul today comes out, he's like, thank you so much, guys. This was my first acting experience. I'd like to thank my on-screen girlfriend Chioma. I'd like to, and I'm like, okay, Paul, like fair play to Paul. He's a character, right? Because he already knows that everyone is like, is this thing fake or not? There's probably aspects of it that are fake. And then he's now just come out and said, yeah, this was just acting and everything. But I think he's saving face. And then Chioma's come out saying, nah, nice try. But I refuse to believe that Chioma cried so much and talked about her family. I know that's not
God, it
acting.
was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a
So,
lot.
Paul, the people's champion was knocked down. So
I need to watch. Still to miss it. The extra the part one.
no, because you rent it and then but it's now on YouTube. It's now on YouTube. You can find it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's now on YouTube.
Have
You
a
can
look.
find it, the aftermath. I just wanted to
They gave
support.
us some entertainment. Those guys.
Huh?
The therapy. They provided entertainment. You're right. It was just mind blowing. It's just like, what? It's like, what are they going to bring on in the next session?
There was this thing that I saw of Jamel, some video, some snap of him dancing, right? And then and then the caption was like, when Deborah is away.
The mouth play. Guys.
No, they entertained us. They entertained us. So I don't think it's completely fake. I think they were in real relationships, but I anyway, watch the space.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. No, awesome. It's been good.
Yeah, no. It has been good. Laters.
Adios, amigos. We'll see you soon.
Adios, adios. Bye guys.
Bye, guys.